Mr. Gingrich, you got some attention yesterday when you lit into the Supreme Court at the Values Conference. You basically said it should just be ignored on occasion and challenged on other occasions. You said that you would, for one thing, call judges before Congress.
Sure.
Is that what I understand?
Absolutely.
Well, how in the world would you do that? They're in one branch of government.
Subpoena them.
But one branch of government can't subpoena people
can.
in the other branches of government. They don't have to honor this subpoena.
Bob, if that's true, then the court can't say something to the Congress either, can it? By your standards, this Supreme Court cannot dictate to the President and cannot dictate to the Congress. But they do. And there are clear provisions in the Constitution to rebalance it. There's a judge in San Antonio who issued a ruling so anti-religious, so bigoted, and so dictatorial on June 1st, he should be called in front of a committee, and they should ask him, by what right do you dictate to the American people?
Well, because it's a separate branch of government, for one thing, and the judge wouldn't have to come.
He would have to come if he's subpoenaed. That's my whole point. You go back and look.
Could the Congress also subpoena the president to come up there? Why didn't he come up there?
Lincoln testified.
Well, so did Gerald Ford, but he did by agreement.
By negotiation, but would in fact have been subject to a subpoena, depending on the circumstances. The point is this, because when you're actually making a more radical case than I am, you're suggesting that if the Congress can't subpoena a judge could not issue an instruction to Congress, that the branches would be truly separate. That's not what happens today. Today you have judges who are dictatorial and arrogant, who pretend that they are the dominant branch, and who issue orders that are clearly against the Constitution.
Let me ask you one other thing that you said. You said that in the Gingrich administration, you would just tell the national security officials to ignore the Supreme Court's recent rulings on national security. So which laws is it? Do you just follow only the laws you wish to follow under your doctrine, or how does that work?
You follow the law. In the cases I'm citing, recently with Hamdan and Boumediene, you had the court overturning the Congress and the President. And what I'm saying is, look, we have precedent from Jefferson, Jackson, Lincoln, and Franklin Delano Roosevelt. Roosevelt in 1942, when we captured 14 German spies, says to the Attorney General, I will not honor a writ from the Supreme Court, and you tell them not to issue one. And I think the Commander-in-Chief has the power to defend this country. And the recent court decisions in which the court intervened in national security, they're taking on their shoulders defending America. They are totally unprepared to do it. It is unconstitutional, and somebody should stand up to them and say no.
But what you're talking about here is just setting off a constitutional crisis each and every time that you, as president, didn't agree with what some ruling from the court.
The courts have created this crisis. The courts have again and again and again since 1958 asserted an ability to redefine America. I mean, in the current court, you have four conservatives, four liberals, and you have Justice Kennedy as a one-person constitutional convention.
If the president could ignore the Supreme Court, could he also ignore the Congress, which is another branch of the government?
Presidents can and do.
And could the Congress ignore the president?
And here's the consequence: the Congress cuts off the money. There's a balance of power. And the Congress doesn't have to pay for something, and if the president gets too far out of line, they just won't give him the money. The president doesn't have to automatically do what Congress wants. He can veto bills. He can interpret bills. The court is also subject. It is a balance of power, and people can go to newt.org and see the entire paper that backs this up, which cites, for example, the dean of Stanford Law School. I mean, this is not a trivial argument. This is a fundamental question about the nature of the American Constitution.
All right.